Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome everyone to the third annual 2025 Longview Walk of Honor. I'm Tim Patrick, Chair of the Walk of Honor Task Force. Our purpose tonight is to give recognition and appreciation to individuals who've made a significant historical, cultural, or societal impact for Longview, Texas. At this time, I'd like to have a prayer and let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude and reverence. As we gather for this Walk of Honor ceremony, we pause to recognize the meaning behind each step we will take, steps that celebrate courage, service, and dedication. Lord, we thank you for the lives and legacies of those that we honor today. Their commitment, perseverance, and example remind us of the best within the human spirit. May this ceremony be a reflection of our deepest respect and appreciation for all they have done and all that they continue to inspire us with. Please bless this gathering, O Lord. Bless every person present, participants, family, organizers, and all who support this event. Grant us safety, joy as we celebrate, and unity as we remember that honor, love, and gratitude are the true paths that bind us together. May your peace and presence guide this ceremony from beginning to end, and may everything we do today bring glory to your name. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Today we'll be adding 4 plaques to the Downtown Longview landscape to honor the achievements of Dr. Peggy and Howard Coghlan, David C. Hall, Bobby Taylor, and Ned E. Williams. You will hear much more about these individuals throughout the presentation, but I want to begin by saying that we're all very appreciative of all that they have used with their incredible skills, talent, and energy to make our world a better place. This is the 3rd year for the Walk of Honor, and during our last 2 years, we've honored Robert and Paul Cargill, Carl Estes, Dr. Robert L. Harper Sr., Lois Killingsworth Jackson, R.G. and Elvin Letourneau, Neil McCoy, O.H. Methvin, Dr. Bill Bussey, Trent Williams, and Dr. Isaac E. Willis. That's a great list of names. However, one might wonder, what is the process for selecting these names? Well, we couldn't be here today without the input and work of the Walk of Honor Task Force. The Task Force reviews nominations that we receive from the public. The Task Force also makes nominations of their own. We have thoughtful discussions, to say the least, during our selection process so that we can create a Walk of Honor that reflects a diverse collection of individuals across Longview's history, industries, and types of impact. I'm so appreciative for the various perspectives that are represented on the task force, and I ask that the task force please stand at this time. Our members are David Choi, Eiler Boyd, Rosalind Cantu, Jim Koger, Dina Dodson, Tamika Franklin, Hank Guccilar. Thank you. Roshia Hodge, Scott Lewis, Karen Maines, Jay Mitchell, Walter Northcutt, and David Rather. Now, would Sean Hara and the City of Longview staff please stand? I'm surprising them with this one, but I just wanted to give a special thanks and just know that we couldn't do this without you. And thank you very much. Thank you for all your service. Now I'd like to thank Mayor Kristen Ishihara and the City Council for their continued support for this project. Please help me welcome Mayor Ishihara.
Well, good evening. Thank you guys so much for being here. It is my sincere privilege to serve as the mayor of City of Longview and to be here to welcome you tonight. A special thank you to Tim Patrick, who pours his heart and soul into this event all year round. And a special thank you to the families and our honorees for being here tonight. I know for some of you that involved travel, and we appreciate and respect that you were here tonight to celebrate what you have done to invest in our Longview community. Our honorees tonight have built legacies through their families, in our Longview community, and interestingly, have buildings that represent that legacy here in Longview. Howard and Dr. Peggy Coghlan were instrumental in our Longview Library and the Maud Cobb facility. David Hall helped design, construct, and lead Texas Eastman. Bobby Taylor helped build the Galilee Baptist Church Family Center, not to mention building championships at Longview High School along the way. Ned E. Williams built a school for students that otherwise would have no access to quality education, each honoree contributing in a meaningful and lasting way to our Longview community, for which we will be eternally grateful. As you'll hear tonight, each honoree has been involved in things that build community and connection here in the Longview community. That is the thing that I know each of us love so much about Longview. When you live in Longview and love living here, you give back because you just feel the desire to do so by serving in your community, using your time and talent to make Longview the very best place that it can be. So tonight we are here to honor individuals who have done that over a lifetime, the legacy that they leave in their families and in our community. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight to join us to do so. I am honored to present a proclamation for Longview Walk of Honor Day. The Longview Walk of Honor Task Force has requested that the mayor by proclamation recognize today as Longview Walk of Honor Day in the city of Longview. The Walk of Honor seeks to create a lasting commemoration of individuals who helped shape the history of our community by making significant achievements in Longview and beyond. The task force recognizes the contributions of Dr. Peggy and Howard Coghlan as library, education, and community advocates, David C. Hull as a chemist and Texas Eastman president, Bobby Taylor as a professional football player and community advocate, and Ned E. Williams as a former slave who became an educator and school founder. Now, therefore, I, as mayor of the city of Longview, do hereby proclaim today, November 8th, 2025, in the city of Longview as Longview Walk of Honor Day. And now on to the honorees. I would first like to invite up Longview Public Library Director Extraordinaire, Jennifer Elridge, who will introduce our first honoree.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Eldridge, and I am the Library Director for the Longview Public Library. I'm very excited to be here tonight to tell you about two very extraordinary and impactful people in my life. When I first heard that there would be a Walk of Honor for Longview, I immediately knew I wanted to nominate Dr. Peggy and Howard Coghlan. Peggy was one of the first people I learned about when I moved to Longview and started working at the Longview Public Library as the children's librarian. Her contributions and efforts literally made it possible for us to have a library. And her offering amazing programs such as the Longview Public Library Summer Reading Club program. Together, Peggy and Howard were a force for the improvement of Longview, and I'm thrilled that we're able to be here today to honor them. Here's a little bit more about their story.
Dr. Peggy and Howard Coghlan were beloved Longview philanthropists, educators, and civic leaders whose dedication to service and education shaped the community for decades. Howard Payne Coghlan was born in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1927 and moved to Longview in 1936. A World War II veteran, he served in the Coast Guard Air Force aboard the USS Monticello and later earned his law degree from Southern Methodist University, graduating near the top of his class. Returning to Longview, Howard built a distinguished career in oil, gas, and mineral law, forming the firm that became Coghlan Croson, LLP. Over his long career, he served on numerous civic boards, including the Longview Chamber of Commerce, Longview Rotary Club, Longview JCs, First United Methodist Church, LeTourneau University, and the Downtown Development Corporation. Howard also served as chairman of the Oil, Gas, and Mineral Law section of the State Bar of Texas, as an editor for the Southwestern Law Journal, and was chosen by Governor John Connally as a member of the Texas State Historical Commission. The State Bar Foundation of Texas recognized Howard's dedicated legal career, including his extensive pro bono and charitable work, naming him an outstanding 50-year lawyer. Peggy Crowder Coghlan was born in 1929 in Cooper, Texas, and moved to Kilgore at age 11. Salutatorian of Kilgore High School's class of 1946 and a member of the world-famous Kilgore College Rangerettes, Peggy graduated valedictorian from Kilgore College in 1948 and earned her B.S. Ed from North Texas State University in 1950. She later received her M.Ed in 1976 and became the first woman to earn a Doctor of Education degree from Texas A&M University in 1979, both with perfect 4.0 GPAs. Peggy and Howard met at Kilgore College. She was student body secretary and he was president. They married in 1951 and made their home in Longview, where they raised 2 children, Kelly and Katie. Peggy devoted her life to education, civic leadership, and community betterment. She founded and taught at the Peggy Coghlan Teen School for 17 years, helping hundreds of students with personal growth and self-improvement, and judged over 70 Miss America state pageants. She taught at Kilgore College, eventually serving as Vice President of Instruction and Chief Academic Officer, the first woman to hold that title. Her leadership extended far beyond the classroom. She was appointed by Governors Dolph Briscoe and Bill Clements to statewide education and women's commissions. Peggy also chaired numerous civic boards, including the Junior League of Longview, Longview Public Library Foundation, Longview Federation of Women's Clubs, and the Longview Community Center Corporation. In the early 1980s, Howard and Peggy helped lead a successful capital fundraising for the construction of a new convention center for Longview. In addition to numerous contributions from throughout the community, the Coghlans were instrumental in securing a substantial private donation from Howard's client, Cecile Moschel, given in honor of her grandmother, Maud Cobb. Peggy's most enduring civic achievement came as chair of the fundraising effort to build the Longview Public Library, dedicated in 1987. In 1984, Longview voters approved a $2.9 million bond issue to pay for construction of a new library on land adjacent to City Hall. Peggy set a goal to raise $1 million in private donations to buy superior furnishings, equipment, books, and a public plaza. When the new Longview Public Library was dedicated in 1987, more than $1.1 million had been pledged, which was the largest amount raised through private funds for a public library up to that time. She later endowed the library's summer reading program, ensuring future generations access to reading and learning. Together, Peggy and Howard embodied servant leadership, giving generously of their time, talents, and resources. Peggy often said, "I always wanted things to be better." That guiding philosophy defined both their lives, whether in education, law, or community service, and their legacy continues to enrich Longview and East Texas.
Please help me in welcoming Kelly Coghlan to accept this honor.
That was so well done. I did not expect all of this. Excuse me just a second. I've got to get something that fell out of my pocket. I'll tell you what this is in a minute, okay? On behalf of the Coghlan family, particularly my sister Katie Coghlan and myself, my wife Brenda Coghlan, and my son, 14-year-old son, 8th grade, Jack Coghlan. That is my parents' only grandchild, right there. And we're trying to bring him up correctly. So on behalf of all of the Coghlan family, thank you so much for bestowing this beautiful and wonderful distinction upon Howard and Peggy Coghlan. Howard and Peggy are the two, in my opinion, as their son, smartest, kindest, self-sacrificing, and generous persons I ever met in my life. And those phrases were not only mine, but were taken from different letters that people have written to me about my parents. And I can attest that all of that is true. I was so blessed, and am so blessed to be able to call them my parents. Growing up, I just knew them as mom and dad. I knew they loved Katie and loved me to the moon, and that they created a joy-filled home for us. As I got older, I increasingly realized what all they had and were accomplishing in Longview and in the greater state of Texas. although I still knew them just as mom and dad. After finishing law school, I moved to Houston, and I was repeatedly asked, first by attorneys who I would meet, are you in any relation to Howard or Peggy Coghlan from Longview? And when I said, well, yes, I'm their son, I could see my stock go up from a penny stock to Apple Corporation in just like that. And they just always spoke so highly of my mom and dad and usually had a story to tell about their relationship with them or their interaction with them. So I just began becoming more and more aware of what they had done outside of just our family. And then going to my mom's doctoral graduation at Texas A&M, when she graduated with a doctorate there, and was the first woman, later found out, to ever graduate from Texas A&M with a doctorate in education. And then later going again to a black tie event for my mom at Texas A&M, where she was awarded one of the highest, I think it's the highest award given by the university to a former student. And then going to another black tie event for my dad, when the Texas State Bar and the Bar Foundation awarded him and named him as one of just a couple of the most outstanding lawyers in the state of Texas who had practiced for more than 50 years. I increasingly realized the impact that they were having with their lives. And it was all just, they didn't just wake up one day and decide to do all this stuff. It was just incremental, just one decision at a time. And that's what I'd like to say to the young people out here, including my son, that if you see a bum on the street, they didn't just one day wake up and say, I think I'm going to be a bum. It was one decision at a time, starting at your ages, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. My mom was brought up in Kilgore. She was born in 1929, and unfortunately her parents got divorced in the 30s, and back then divorce was unheard of. So she was reared by a single parent, and she lived in a little house that would fit into this little part of this room right here, just these posts right here to back there. She did not sleep on a real bed until she was 14 years old. She slept on a sofa bed in the kitchen. Very poor. But there was a library across the street from that little shack that they lived in. And that little shack is still there across from that library. And even poor kids could go to the library for free. You may start getting an idea of why my mom wanted a library and to help build a library for Longview, Texas. It all came back to that. She had a heart, and my dad did too, for the people who did not have as much. My dad, his father, was an Irish immigrant who came over on a boat, landed in New Orleans when he was only 19 years old. And so his family was of minor means growing up here in Longview. But they both decided that they wanted to get educated, that was the way out. And that's what they set out to do, one little decision at a time. Their accomplishments have been so well presented today. Some of these things I had forgotten. And whoever did this, wow, just you pulled it all together. But there are a number of things they did in the background that only their family mostly would know about. So if it's okay, can I tell you a few of those stories? That not the public, this was out of the public eye. I remember going to a YMCA father-son camp out when I was probably 6. And there was a little boy there named Frank. And Frank, my dad and I, we had our bedrolls all set up. It was an overnight kind of thing, and going to cook, wiener roast and all that kind of thing. And my dad noticed this kid over there crying. And Dad went up and said, what's wrong? He said, first of all, hello, what's your name, Frank? He said, well, I'm Howard Coghlan. This is my son, Kelly. He says, yeah, I know Kelly from day camp. And he said, well, what's wrong? He says, well, I don't have a father. And this is the father-son camp out. So my dad said, I adopt you for the weekend. You're going to do everything with us, Frank. Come over here. Let's get some hot dogs going. Let's do this. So Frank stayed with us that entire weekend. And then when Frank got older, as I recall, my dad helped him get into college. So he kept an eye on him and kept up with him. That's one example. Another example is we grew up right across the street from Laterno on the south side. I mean, right across, you could walk out in our yard and there was Laterno right down the end of the street on East Glen Drive. But my parents, like on Sundays, they would see kids who didn't have cars walking everywhere, like walking to church or walking back from church or trying to get back to the university. And they would always stop and say, hey, can we give you a lift? We live real close to the university. And they'd say, yeah, and they'd jump in. And my mom and dad so many times said, look, are you hungry? Have you had lunch today? If they said no, they said, look, let us treat you to lunch. And we would, so many times I remember we'd take these kids off and we would take them to lunch. And then a lot of those kids, because it was Laterno Christian University, they went on to become missionaries. And I remember my parents writing checks to send to them to help, fund them in their missionary duties. Later, my dad was actually on the board of Laterno that we lived right down the street from. And he was on the board when Franklin Graham was a student. How many of y'all have heard of Billy Graham? Remember Billy Graham? He's passed on now, but his son has sort of taken up the mantle. But his son was young and went to Laterno, and his son got into some trouble. He did some things. He broke some rules. And it came time that the board was going to have to decide whether to expel him. So they took a vote. And it was almost unanimous to expel him, except for one vote that I later found out. And that was Howard Coghlan, who said, we need to give him a second chance. He's young. He made a mistake. He's given a good explanation for the mistake, and let's give him a chance. And I always thought that was so kind of my dad. It just showed his heart of having, feelings for other people, giving people a second chance. When my parents would go in a restaurant, I remember this so many times during my growing up, my mom particularly had a heart for ladies who were older, who were having to wait on tables. It was obvious that, they probably needed it for their family. And I so many times saw my mom taking out, and they'd leave a tip, a regular tip, but taking out like a $10 bill or some money and going around to every single person working in that restaurant and giving them something and just saying, I just encourage you, just keep on doing. You're working hard, you're making a difference. These are things that nobody would know except just a few of us that were in my parents' family. When my mom taught civics, and this is in closing, at Longview High School first, and then later she taught at Kilgore College. At the end of every year, she would hand out a little card to every one of the students. It was this little card. And this is what it says. It's a quote. I shall pass through this world but one time. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer it or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. And then she would write in her own handwriting, love and best wishes for your journey, Peggy Coghlan. And I think that I just always loved that about my mom. And she loved students. And my dad, they just loved everybody. Years ago, somebody told me, whether you were kings or paupers, your parents treated everyone the same, with dignity and love. On my mom's tombstone, she and my dad are buried here in Longview, these are the words: she always wanted things to be better, and with vision and vigor made them so. That pretty much sums up Howard and Peggy Coghlan. On behalf of them, thank you again for this great honor for my parents. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, that's for y'all.
Oh, thank you. That's very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good evening. Everybody can hear me? My name is Jay Mitchell. I am a member of the Walk of Honor Task Force. Tim got me back on this task 4 years ago when he was first establishing it. It's my pleasure to introduce Honoree David C. Hull. I happened to grow up being childhood friends with David's grandchildren. Like anyone who grew up in Longview, we've all seen the impact of Texas Eastman on the economic vitality of our community. During the prior year, we did honor newspaper publisher Carl Estes, who, among other things and other people, recruited Eastman to Longview. But it is the brainpower and leadership of David Hull that helped develop Texas Eastman from an idea into a reality as an industrial engine for our community. Here's a little more of his history.
David C. Hull, a pioneering chemist and longtime president of Texas Eastman Company, was a visionary leader whose scientific expertise and steady guidance helped shape both the chemical industry and the Longview community. Born in 1908 in Marion, Virginia, Hull earned a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry from Emory and Henry College, followed by a Master of Science in Organic Chemistry from the University of Tennessee. His alma mater, Emory and Henry, later honored him with an honorary Doctor of Science degree in recognition of his professional accomplishments and contributions to the field of chemistry. Hull began his distinguished career with Eastman Corporation in 1931 as a research and development chemist. During World War II, Hull played a critical role in the nation's wartime scientific efforts. From 1941 to 1944, he served as a consultant to the National Defense Research Committee and the War Production Board. As production manager of the Chemicals Division of the Clinton Engineer Works at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, he oversaw Eastman's production of fissionable materials for the first atomic bomb, an achievement central to the Manhattan Project. Hull was also part of an Eastman team that developed a continuous production process for RDX, then the most powerful explosive known. This breakthrough greatly enhanced Allied capabilities and contributed significantly to victory in the war. Meanwhile, Hull advanced through Eastman's technical and managerial ranks, becoming superintendent of the Acid Division in 1945 and later manager of the Texas Division in 1950. In 1951, he was appointed vice president and manager of the newly established Texas Eastman Company in Longview, and in 1963 he became its president. Under Hull's leadership, Texas Eastman grew from a conceptual project to one of Eastman's most successful operations. By the time of his retirement in 1974, the Longview operations had grown to employ more than 1,800, with the company recognized as a major producer of chemicals and plastics. His 42-year career with Eastman reflected his dedication to innovation and research, as evidenced by his numerous patents and technical journal publications. Beyond his professional achievements, Hull was deeply committed to civic and community service. He served as chairman of Longview's First National Bank and First Federal Savings and Loan Association, and as a board director for the Longview Chamber of Commerce, East Texas Chamber of Commerce, Texas Manufacturers Association, Good Shepherd Hospital, First United Methodist Church, and the Greater Longview United Way, loyally serving the organizations for multiple decades. Hull was also president of the Longview YMCA, where he was known for his remarkable swimming discipline. Averaging 1 mile a day, every day, regardless of travel or schedule, his commitment to fitness followed him across states and even continents. In 1933, Hull married Nola, his lifelong partner and travel companion. They had 2 children, Betty and David C. Hull Jr. Together, Nola and David explored the world, visiting more than 100 countries and joining the Traveler Century Club. David C. Hull passed away in Longview in 1988. Remembered as an intelligent, quiet, and unassuming man, he was admired for his integrity, loyalty, and devotion to both his work and his community. His gravestone bears a fitting verse from Proverbs 3:13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding.
Please help me welcome Michelle Holyfield to accept this honor.
Good evening, everybody. I am Michelle Holyfield, and I'm here to gladly represent Eastman on behalf of Mr. Hull's family. I just have a couple of remarks that I'll say. I did not know Mr. Hull, but as you've heard through the video, he was very instrumental in Eastman coming to Longview, Texas. He was part of the scouting group that brought our company here, as well as, again, mentioned there, a visionary in the design of our facility, which I would say most, if not all, of that structure is still intact and in use today, so very impressive. He also, as was mentioned, was very involved in the community. We talked about United Way, which was formerly the United Fund. I did find it interesting the ties between the Coghlans. I heard First United Methodist Church and YMCA, so they have those connections there. And then I'll just close with that culture of community engagement that he brought with him from Tennessee is still very much a part of Eastman today, and I'm very proud to be a part of the Eastman culture. And so again, on behalf of Eastman, I'm very honored to accept this honor for Mr. Hull. Thank you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for this monumentous occasion as we celebrate people who have made a difference to the city of Longview. I am one of the charter members of the Longview Walk of Honor Task Force, as we all are, who were introduced earlier. And it is my privilege to introduce the honoree that I am proud of, and that is Mr. Bobby Taylor. Now, I should tell you, as a member of Bobby's boyhood church, which is the Galilee Baptist Church here in Longview, I have known Bobby for many years. I knew Bobby when he was Bobby Taylor, Longview Lobo football player, Bobby Taylor, who was on the state basketball team, Bobby Taylor, who ran track, and I think y'all did something with state or something when you ran track? All right. Then I really became interested in Bobby Taylor when his grandfather, Artie Simon, told me he was going to Notre Dame. He was playing football, and I need to start watching Notre Dame on Saturday and watch his grandson play football. I've never really been a Dallas Cowboy fan, however, but then whenever the Cowboys would play the Philadelphia Eagles, Mr. Simon would tell me I had to watch that game and also yell for Bobby Taylor. So, Bobby Taylor, the pro cornerback, the Longview Lobo, the young man, the humanitarian that he is, who does things for the community, who does things for youth, who is a proud young man, who is an honorable young man, who does things for the community, for youth, for senior citizens. Because senior citizens, I say, we at the Galilee Baptist Church have the Bobby Taylor Family Life Center, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we senior citizens get there and we exercise, and we thank you for that, for we have a place to go. I couldn't be more pleased to see your name added to the Walk of Honor. for all of your achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. Here's a little story about Bobby Taylor.
Born in Houston in 1973 and raised on the south side of Longview, Bobby Taylor's story is one of grit, grace, and impact, on and off the field. From Ware Elementary to Foster Middle School to Longview High, his journey has been defined by excellence, leadership, and community. A rare multi-sport standout, Taylor starred under Coach Biro, football, Leroy Rommans, and Marvin Graham, basketball, and Curtis Jones and Oscar Wilson, track and field. His unmatched athleticism earned him a reputation as the best all-around athlete in the state. He led the Lobos to state championships in the 1600 and 400 meter relays. He helped secure the 1992 state championship basketball title, earning Class 5A Basketball Player of the Year honors. On the football field, his dominance spoke for itself. USA Today, first team All-American, defense, two-time All-State selection, a spot on the UIL All-Century team, and the distinction of being the first Lobo to have his jersey retired. He is also a member of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. Taylor shined at the University of Notre Dame, 1992-1994, where he was a two-time All-American cornerback under legendary coach Lou Holtz. His collegiate success propelled him to the 1995 NFL Draft, where he was selected by the Philadelphia Eagles, launching a decade-long professional career. Over 10 seasons, 9 with the Eagles and 1 with the Seattle Seahawks, Taylor earned PFWA All-Rookie Team 1995, All-Pro and Pro Bowl honors 2002, and the respect of teammates and opponents alike as one of the league's premier defensive backs. His career totals: 129 games, 284 tackles, 4 sacks, 19 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 11 fumble recoveries, and 6 forced fumbles. Bobby's impact goes beyond the field. He founded the Bobby Taylor Charitable Foundation, providing scholarships and direct support for local families. He hosted youth football camps, offering mentorship, access, and inspiration to the next generation. His community service was recognized in 2003 when Galilee Baptist Church named its new facility the Bobby Taylor Family Life Center. Bobby continues to lead with purpose as a strategic advisor for NFL football operations, where he helps drive initiatives to expand participation, diversity, and leadership in the game. His work has been pivotal in growing high school girls flag football as an emerging varsity sport. He also serves as Director of Corporate Relations at Analytics, a technology company empowering organizations through advanced data management, analytics, and AI-driven solutions. Bobby is married to the love of his life, Michelle Taylor, and together they're building a legacy grounded in faith, family, and purpose, raising their 3 boys, Bobby Jaden Taylor, Alexander Taylor, and Asher Taylor, to lead with heart, humility, and excellence. From Longview to the NFL, and now as a leader shaping the future of youth sports, Bobby Taylor's story is one of excellence, humility, and an unwavering commitment to giving back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Mr. Bobby Taylor.
Hello. Good evening. First of all, I want to congratulate all of the families who relatives have did some great work here in Longview. Sitting down, I felt like I knew some of those things, but I felt like I was sitting in a great history class. I'm not sure if your family has been taught about in school, but maybe we need to figure out, because I just think some of the things that you all and your family have did, I think is phenomenal. So I just want to congratulate you all for all of the hard work that they've put here in Longview, Texas. So let's give them another round of applause. Oh man, I don't even know where I should start. I mean, Longview has always been home. I can remember like it was yesterday when my mom, we were living in the 3rd Ward of Houston, and she said, hey, I got a great opportunity working for the government to, ironically, get a position in Philadelphia. And we all know how Philadelphia, my history has been, but she was like, you're going to be moving to Longview. And at first I didn't embrace that. You know, growing up in a specific place, you want to stay where you are, your friends, all of those things. But this is my home. I know it's not specifically on my birth certificate, but Longview is definitely my home. I talk about my community specifically, but even more important than that, just the village of people that have helped me on so many different levels, from just folks that lived on the south side. 232 Park Street was our address where I grew up. And my grandparents were community disciplinarians. So even if I was away from home and other folks saw me doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing, they had the right to discipline me. So they were strictlers to that, and I just love them for it. That experience growing up there, going to Ware Elementary, like was mentioned on the video, and then on to Foster Middle School, and then to the great Longview High School. I remember my first experience even stepping foot on the campus at Longview High School was probably Friday Night Lights, where I probably should have been watching a football game cheering, but I was outside playing throw-up tackle with probably 50 or 30 other kids. And all of those experiences just have a special heart, a special place in my heart. And then when we think about the sports, and I know that stands out probably more than a lot of things, but my grandmother, she was an educator. And probably before No Pass, No Play came out, she had her Claudine Simon No Pass, No Play, and there was a specific level of grades that I knew that I had to bring home. And not only when it came to playing sports, I had to be active in the church, and that was the Usher board. You probably would be surprised, but I also was in the choir as well. And I can remember being in the 7th grade where you have to make a decision on, okay, you're going to choose sports as an extracurricular activity as far as your schedule, or is it going to be choir? And we actually had a conversation in our house on Park Street about what decision that I should make, and sports wasn't at the top of the list, but I was able to negotiate that because I was, a redhead little boy, and I was able to twist my grandmother and my grandfather's arm a little bit, and they allowed me to go into athletics, but with the caveat, you still had to be active in some of those other things as well. So I wish they could be here. I was at the Bobby Taylor Life Center earlier today at Galilee Baptist Church. I want to shout out my pastor. I've only had one membership to a church in my life, and it's still to Galilee Baptist Church. Reverend J.B. Dunlap, I know some of his family is here. Because they have a family member also that's being honored, and he holds a very special place in my heart. And I can remember when I was thinking about, Gigi, Paul, like talking to my mom, like, what should I do from a give back standpoint? I want to do something a little bit more than maybe just typical. And it was, this is going on at our church, and you're going to support that. And it was like, okay. That's all that I needed to hear. And that's the type of parenting that I grew up with. And I tell my kids sometimes that comes out of me now as I raise my kids with my wife, my beautiful wife, Michelle. She's here, sitting here. Asher is here. You probably have seen him running all over the place. And Alexander as well. Our oldest, Bobby Jaden Taylor, is fortunate enough to be at Texas A&M on a scholarship. He couldn't be here, but he'll be graduating in December. And so that means a lot as well. But getting a little bit to the sports, I know that we're in cowboy country down here in East Texas, and I can remember having family members that I didn't know at the time, especially when I was buying all of those tickets when we used to come to Dallas and play, that when my grandmother and my grandfather put me to the side, and she was like, hey, you know, so-and-so is a Cowboy fan, and they want you to do well, but at the end of the day, they want the Cowboys to win. I was like, okay. That allowed me to be able to save some money so I could reallocate that somewhere else. So family members, if your ticket privileges got revoked all of a sudden, that was the reason why. But we talk about some of the coaches and administrators. I can remember when I was in high school and my grandmother was like, hey, I think you should based off your grades, you should take an advanced math class. And I had this one particular teacher by the name of Miss Steinmack. And I can remember, you know, being a young guy, I probably was, I don't know, a sophomore in high school, taking her class and probably just being a little sassy and probably feeling myself as well, getting some notoriety and all of those types of things. And I can remember she was a pretty short lady. And she called me out into the classroom, outside the classroom into the hall, and she pulled up a chair and actually stood up in the chair where she can look down on me. And she was, you know, I talked to your grandmother, right? And I'm like, well, at this time, I don't even think pagers were in, or definitely cell phones. Like, how did that happen? And it gets back to that community disciplinarian where, you know, I wasn't going to be in school acting a certain type of way, especially not living up to the name and legacy of our family. And so just having someone like that in my life, that was definitely special. And then also from a coaching standpoint, I know I have two of my coaches here, Coach Jones, Coach Wilson. I mean, I'm old. I'm 50, I'll be 52 this year next month. And Coach Wilson, he's still coaching the Longview Lobos right now, just left off the football field. So I want to definitely give Coach Wilson, Coach Jones, I mean, I actually stayed at their house when I was in high school sometimes. We had, their wives open up their houses to myself and other teammates, and it was just a beautiful thing. And so to see you all be here today, I just want to tell you I love you, and just the effect that the two of you men have had on my life is just it's just incredible. And so they got me twice. They got me in football and they got me in track as well. And it was like deep coaching. It was more than just about athletics. It was about life. It was about family and seeing them with their families and me having a family now. It really comes full circle. And so to be here to see you all, I just want to thank you all again for what you've meant to me. I know I probably hadn't said it enough, but to be able to be here present right now in front of so many different people, it means a whole lot. I have some of my former teammates here, Trey, JD, appreciate you all. I remember when, they always talk about if you see something, you could really believe it. And probably one of the athletes that was getting a lot of notoriety when I was a young jitterbug, by the name of Chris Fuller. Chris, I want to appreciate you for being here as well. We text 3 in the morning. Hopefully the wife not thinking somebody else texting me. It's just the homie from Southside. So for you to be here as well, I appreciate you. I know he's been an advocate for me from day one. My mom, I wanted to tell you I love you. I can just imagine the sacrifice it had to take to want to pursue something for yourself as well, but then leave your baby. And it wasn't necessarily leaving me, but allow me to be here with my grandparents and then so many other people in the community. So I just want to tell you I love you as well. My godmother is here, Miss Johnny Gayton. Hey, how you doing? She's an educator as well. She's actually I can remember when I was young, just taught me how to study and just juggle and manage a busy schedule. And I've used some of those same things with my kids to this day. man, this has just been a crazy ride, and to be able to be here on this day and to personally see it. I want to thank the city of Longview, everywhere. I mean, I don't even have to say it. Everybody knows Longview, Bobby Taylor from Longview, that's what it is. And so this place will always be a special place for me. You know, I haven't gotten back here probably enough. And, you know, I want to just say this on this stage. I want to just somehow figure out how I could come back. Mayor, I want to thank you for being here. One of my other classmates, Tasha Walker, I know she's doing some great things here in the city. My good friend back here, Demetric Evans, I'm going to call him out a little bit. He used to play for the Cowboys. Went to the University of Georgia. He drove down here from Allen, Texas. Got my man Ryan and Gerald back there, Miss Rhonda, with her daughter, Miss Chandlerland. I can remember her mother and my grandmother were best friends, so I bounced back and forth from those two houses, and they babysat me, and I'm sure I probably got on their nerves so many times growing up. So I just want to thank you all. You know, I have my Uncle Emmanuel back there, who's actually my grandmother's brother, with his wife and everybody else, my cousin Felicia, Miss Pee Wee, everybody, Uncle D, he actually, I can remember when we got married. So my wife, she's from Puerto Rico, and I was like, hey, and I know the wife, they decide where the wedding's gonna be and all that. I was like, well, look, I would appreciate if we could maybe like do the nuptials in Longview, just a little small gathering, and then we go to Puerto Rico to have the destination wedding, because that's where she was born. And that thing kind of got a little crazy, and I thought I was gonna be divorced before I even got married. So I appreciate you understanding that, but yeah, I'm just happy. It's a you know, you hear about a lot of bad things that happen, especially when it comes to athletes, and a lot of those you know, things always lead off when it comes to the sporting channels and things like that. And you know, I've just always tried to carry myself, not for myself, but for all of the people that I know that have always had my back, have always prayed for me, with me. I'm sure a lot of those prayers are still being answered to this day. I guess I say I accept this award with all of my heart. I'm humbled. It's definitely a blessing. Again, congratulations to all the honorees, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And if I forgot anybody, please, I'm sorry. Don't charge it. Oh, my cousin Bobby as well. He drove here. So.
Good evening, everyone. Them some kind of tough acts to follow, you know, because I'm a pretty serious person, so hey. I am Shannon Moore. It is my pleasure to serve on Longview City Council for District 2, which is Southside, Park Street, all those things that you just heard Bobby just name, and just listening to everything. Really, Longview is a full circle moment when you go back from the history of everybody that we heard about tonight. All of these combine together to make the greater Longview that we have. Tonight is my honor to introduce my great-great-grandfather, Ned E. Williams. He was born into slavery, but he rose to become a professor, Professor Williams, a self-taught seeker of truth and knowledge. He saw the power and the change that comes through education. He spent his life pouring into lives of students, his family, and the entire community. His dedication for betterment created generational and a lasting impact, a legacy which is evident in our community and in the lives of those of us that are blessed to call him family, including myself. Here's a video of Mr. Ned E. Williams.
Professor Ned E. Williams was born a slave in 1864 to Ms. Partha Williams on a plantation in Sabine County, Texas. Around 1880, Ned's family moved to Kansas in search of a better life, but returned shortly to East Texas. They ultimately settled in the Elderville area south of Longview and worked on a farm owned by Dr. Mitchell. After finishing his chores, Williams would privately study books he acquired along the way. Dr. and Mrs. Mitchell encouraged him to continue his studies. Since he was self-taught and very studious, he was encouraged by Professor F.A. Glenn to enter the teaching profession. He took the examination and passed, having never experienced formal education. He started his teaching career at a small school in the Fredonia community in 1883. About 8 miles south of Longview. In 1889, Williams was called to the community of Greenville, about 8 miles southeast of Longview, near the present-day East Texas Regional Airport, to assist in setting up and running a school that would later bear his name. Over the years, the school operated under the names Greenville School, Greenville High School, the Gregg County Training School, and eventually the Ned E. Williams High School. The school continued in operation for 80 years, producing thousands of graduates who have served the community and the nation as teachers, preachers, lawyers, chemists, business leaders, administrators, and leaders in the armed forces. Professor Williams was able to attend Bishop College, Marshall, Texas, and Tuskegee Institute, Tuskegee, Alabama, without having the benefit of a formal high school education. While at Tuskegee Institute, he studied under Dr. Booker T. Washington and Dr. George Washington Carver. Dr. Carver visited Williams in Longview in 1915. Professor Williams was a devout member of the Pleasant Green Baptist Church, serving in a number of capacities as deacon, trustee, church clerk, and Sunday school teacher, to name a few. He was also a Mason in the Prince Hall CUNY Lodge. He kept the community informed of various issues affecting them through voter education, counseling, and notary public. He continued to remind residents to pay their poll taxes and vote so they could affect the outcome of an election. None of his accomplishments could have been made without his wife, the former Ada Richardson, whom he married on February 1st, 1883. 10 children were born to this union. 5 of the children became teachers and 5 engaged other endeavors. 2 of the children taught with Williams at the school. His son LZR Williams eventually replaced Ned as principal and later became superintendent of the Elderville School District. After over 60 years in the field of education, Professor Williams passed away in 1945, leaving behind a world in much better shape than he found it. Shortly after his death, the school was renamed in his honor in recognition of a life dedicated to the education of literally thousands of African American youth. The school continued to operate until 1969 due to consolidation with Longview ISD. In 2010, Longview ISD named a new elementary campus located in the Elderville area in honor of Ned E. Williams. As Professor Williams stated in the History of My Life dated December 11, 1928, I am indebted to the best Negroes and whites of this country for my success, if I've made any at all. I do know one thing: I have spared no time in trying to make myself an honest citizen, and all that come in my way to instruct. So this is about the career of my life. My only regret is I wish I had another to spend.
Please welcome Carlita Banks to accept the honor on behalf of the Williams family.
Good evening, everybody. I'm trying to hold my tears back from that video. Whoever did the video did an awesome job, and they took almost all of what I had written down. So I don't have that much to say, but I am going to piggyback off of Bobby Taylor, because Bobby was one of my dad's. My dad was the pastor of Galilee, Pastor J.B. Dunlap, at that time, and Bobby was one of his favorites. I'm going to put it out there. And he was always in front of the TV when his team was playing. And like Bobby said, I want to congratulate all the other honorees and the families of those honorees. This is some great history. To hear all of these stories is just great. And I do agree they need to be taught in the schools. I do want to thank this committee and the City of Longview for honoring my great-great-grandfather, whom I didn't know. He passed way before I was born. And I had always had two great aunts who would always try to tell me about him, but at that time I was a teen, and you don't take in history that way. You just don't think about it being important. But now, in my older age, I see how important that history is. And it's important that we know who we are and where we came from. If I could, I would like for the Williams family to please stand, if you will. And alumni, I know we have some alumni here also from the Ned E. Williams School. And I want to recognize in his absence one of our cousins who is, I believe he is the last he's the last grandson of Ned E. Williams, and his name is Colonel James N. E. Williams. He and his family came yesterday to be here. The family is here, but he is not, because he became ill this morning and they had to take him to the hospital. So I'm just asking for your prayers for him in his absence. I'm just going to read a little bit of what I had typed up. Although born into slavery in Sabine County, 1864, Ned was hungry for the life he lived. He had one brother named Jerry, and his nickname was Jake, and two sisters, Ludi, her nickname was Lou, and Della. After the slaves in Texas received the notice of freedom, the family traveled to another state, but ended up later moving to Gregg County, where they lived and worked for Dr. Pleasant J. Mitchell and the Wilson family on the Walnut Grove Plantation Farm in Elderville. And actually, last year, I had the privilege of contacting the Mitchell family descendants that are still here. Well, they moved to Houston, but they are still descendants of that Mitchell family. And they were at the museum opening and the reunion for Ned last year. And that was such a great experience to just meet them, and they were such a lovely family. So I do appreciate them for just taking the time out to come and celebrate that with us. Ned showed to be studious and, with God's favor, received tutoring from one of the family members, who was William Gardner Mitchell Sr., named for the William Gardner Mitchell Parkway in Lakeport, and subsequently Professor F.A. Glenn, who married into the Mitchell-Wilson family, encouraged Ned to take the teacher certification exam, which he did and passed. And in my research, I found out that Professor F.A. Glenn was one of the directors of Tyler Commercial College back in the early 1800s and early 1900s. Ned attended Bishop College in Marshall, Texas, and Tuskegee Institute in Tuskegee, Alabama, where he became friends with Doctors Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver, as they were associated with the Rosenwald School Project. This connection would help in organizing and funding for the Ned E. Williams High School, which became a Rosenwald School, where Ned was principal and superintendent for 57 years, with his son, L.Z.R. Williams, taking the torch after Ned's passing. There were several correspondences between Doctors Washington and Carver with Ned over the years, with Dr. Carver making an initial visit to Longview in 1927 and stayed in the home of Professor Ned for about a week to visit the school and community. Ned was not only dedicated to the education field, but felt a sense of responsibility to uplift his community. So with the encouragement of the Mitchells to purchase some land to build a home on, he acquired almost 500 acres of land and also taught others in the area how to purchase land for themselves. He was active in a leadership role in the CUNY Lodge AF&M in Lakeport and was a dedicated trustee, church clerk and deacon of Pleasant Green Baptist Church in Lakeport also. He was also active in voter registration and education during the time when African Americans could not vote in the primaries, and also became a notary public in the Greenville community. This legacy acronym interpretation of the name Ned E. Williams is written to honor his legacy as a self-taught educator, land advocate, and community builder. N stands for nurtured knowledge from nothing. Born into bondage with no legal access to learning, he cultivated literacy through determination, turning his mind into his first act of freedom. E is for educator for the effects of emancipation. He devoted his life to teaching individuals affected by slavery, helping them gain the literacy and skills needed to navigate a changing society. D is for developer of community capacity. He recognized that education was not only personal, it was a tool to shape and uplift whole communities. E, enlightened by purpose. His calling was not simply to learn, but to illuminate and transform education into a cultural, spiritual, and social inheritance. W stands for wisdom bearer and waymaker. He taught the lessons of possibility, showing that a marginalized life could still become a monumental one. I is for influencer of generations. Through his students, his school, and his advocacy, his impact extended past his lifetime. L stands for land steward and land advocate. He understood that land ownership meant independence, dignity, and legacy, and helped others secure that foundation. L stands for leader in liberation practices. His work reflected practical freedom building, literacy, property ownership, and community networks. I stands for instrument of reconstructing an era for progress. During a period of national uncertainty, he modeled what reconstruction could and should look like for African Americans. A stands for architect of access. By creating educational spaces where none previously existed, he redesigned the boundaries of opportunity. M is for mentor of minds and moral strength. He taught not only academics, but identity, self-worth, and the responsibility of knowledge. S is for scholar, survivor, and symbol of self-determination. His life stands as a testament. Greatness can be forged from oppression, and education can be the pathway from captivity to legacy. In his handwritten document to a Mr. Gilman in 1928 called The Little History of My Life, which was in the video, he stated, allow me to say I'm indebted to the best Negroes and the best white people of this country for my success, if I have made any at all. I do know one thing, I have spared no time in trying to make myself an honest citizen and all that come in my way to instruct. So this is just about the career of my life. And his only regret was he wished he had another one to spend. And so that, my last final words on my second great-grandfather's behalf are to be continued.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you all again. Each year I'm so impressed and inspired by the lives and the impact of the honorees. It's our pleasure to honor them today with lasting plaque to be placed in downtown Longview. Those are out here actually, and will be in the sidewalks here real soon. At this time, I'd like to take just a moment to thank our sponsors who have made today's event possible. Thank you to Platinum sponsor Downtown Longview, 100 acres of heritage every year. Thank you. Gold sponsor Eastman Chemical Company. Silver sponsor NCIC. Bronze sponsors RBC Wealth Management, Cadence Bank, Gans and Smith Insurance, Texas Bank and Trust, and Doug and Katie DeBolt. As we prepare for next year, if you know of an individual that should be included in the future Walk of Honor, please nominate them at longviewtexas.gov/honor. Once again, I want to thank our task force, our sponsors, and our honorees for making this day possible. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate the 3rd annual 2025 Walk of Honor. And good night.